Hi, Daniel. Thank you for joining me today. I'll be asking. Daniel is in a little bit of intro. Daniel is a software engineer at Splunk, and he has been. How many years have you been working at Splunk, Daniel?
I've been working at Splunk for about 4 years now.
4 years. Yeah, he is a. He got his undergrad at Berkeley in computer science, right?
Yeah, or EECS, Berkeley EECS.
Eeks, perfect. Yeah, and he is a good friend of mine. We met through church, and today I will be interviewing him for my project.
Cool.
Perfect. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about what Splunk does?
Yeah, sure. So Splunk itself is kind of a platform for unstructured data. You can think of it kind of like a database, but you don't need to define what the data looks like before coming into Splunk. But rather, when you do searches and you do visualizations, you can define what kind of format the data comes out in. So
Oh,
that's the base Splunk product. And then what I work on is this product called Splunk Enterprise Security. So basically, it uses this kind of Splunk kind of platform for the security use case. So you can imagine that being able to ingest all kinds of different data is very useful if you're trying to get an overview of the security kind of terrain of your company or organization. So what we do is we build on top of the Splunk platform to allow security analysts to be able to search over and visualize security data within the organization and investigate and analyze and do all sorts of different tasks like that.
and just a random question. Then, what are some of the project example that you have been worked on in the past that involves this field of security?
Yeah, sure. One of the things that we released a couple of months ago, a couple of years ago, I forget, maybe last year, 2 years ago. There's this new feature called Investigation Workbench. So previously, analysts would go to our software and they would they would use a lot of third-party software to help keep track of different things they're looking at, like IP addresses or different users' names or different devices that are kind of concerning on the networks. And we wanted to help them to be able to just keep all their investigation data within Splunk itself, so they don't have to go to a different app and switch around. So we built this dashboard called the Workbench. So what that does is that it helps organize the different assets and the different things, identities that they're looking at when they're investigating. So they're able to kind of store that on the dashboard and do searches on it without having to go to a third-party app.
That sounds like MySQL Workbench, but with a lot more functionalities than the MySQL Workbench.
Yeah, it's very tailored specifically for security use cases too. So
Perfect. Yeah.
a lot of it is geared towards like usernames and like IP addresses and MAC addresses and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next question then. How is Splunk's company structure like?
I think it's mostly pretty traditional company. I mean, we just have a CEO and president. His name is Doug Merritt, and we have a couple of different departments under him. So marketing and legal, and there's also like support engineering, sales, and then the regular engineering department. And then in the recent years, I think we've acquired a couple of different companies like Signal FX and some other countries, some other companies like VictorOps. So we're slowly trying to integrate those within the overall the existing Splunk kind of structure.
Yeah. All right then. How do you think Splunk's differentiate itself from other companies that provide similar solutions like BMC and VMware?
So kind of like I described earlier when I was introducing Splunk, one of the main benefits of Splunk is that it's a schema on read kind of platform. So that means that you can you don't have to organize the data in a specific way before it comes in. Whereas with all these other companies, you have to kind of organize it before you're able to be able to do searches and kind of do investigation.
Mm,
Whereas with Splunk, you have a lot of flexibility and you can organize it beforehand and create different fields and different things that you're ingesting, but you also don't have to.
mm,
So it's very powerful and very flexible while
okay.
also maintaining good performance.
Mm. And uh, I read in Splunk's report. I read about Splunk, and then I heard, and I know that Splunk also provide like data storage, right? Like
Um,
server on the cloud and helps the customer store data on the cloud. Or is that wrong?
we don't do data storage.
Okay,
Well,
so it's just.
your data is stored in Splunk, whether you're
Mm,
running on premise or in the
mm,
cloud.
mm-hmm,
Um, I mean, it's stored so that you're able to do things with it, like searching and visualization, but it's not like an
okay,
archiving software.
yeah. Okay, then I think the next question then doesn't really apply because I was gonna ask like how is Splunk's cloud solutions compared to the other ones in the
Oh,
industry? Like
I didn't hear your question. I think the internet's a little
oh sorry.
slow.
The question is how is Splunk's cloud solutions compared to other industry giants like BMC and Microsoft and then those ones. But since Splunk doesn't really do that, then I think the question doesn't really apply here.
Well, I guess it's not about Splunk is not a storage company, but we're developing kind of cloud solutions for
Mm, okay.
people who want to focus on just not having any taking care of any hardware.
Yeah.
So we run kind of a different version of our software on a managed cloud. So then they'll have support people kind of working with you to make Splunk work. And then we're also developing a cloud native solution. But
Mm,
then these are just for like being able to do the core Splunk functionality through cloud
yeah.
rather than using a on-premise hardware.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Then I guess the next question I will have is since you work on security, right? And how important would you say is the aspect of security to Splunk and its customers?
Yeah, security is pretty fundamental to what we do at Splunk because out of the our kind of target customers, most of them use Splunk for either security or IT use
Mm,
cases, with a small percentage of other use cases. So security is easily like maybe 30 or 40% of our
got it.
business. So it's really important. And then I think we are. I don't quote me on this for sure, but then I think we're um, moving towards being able to just have the right security standards for federal compliance for government agencies.
Mm,
Because there's a new program called FedRAMP, which is a program for standardizing kind of security around software that government agencies use.
mm,
So I think we're pretty on track to get approved for that and be able, and then different agencies can use our software. So it's a pretty strict security guideline that we're
wow.
able to adhere to. And yeah,
I
there's
think
some other, yeah, there's some other government agencies that aren't so serious, like Census Bureau and different schools that are already using our software.
yeah. Well, I think the what you had last said technically answered last couple one of my questions about Splunk. About like the things that it's working on, the future, and the things. Oh, but that sounds great. Wow, Splunk seems like it's heading towards something bigger, right? That's definitely
Yeah, there's
great.
a lot of things that we're heading towards. I mean, on the
Yeah.
security front too, we're
Mm-hmm.
developing this new software called Mission Control, because we acquired
Mm-hmm.
a couple of different security products like Phantom and then Caspita. So we're working to integrate those kind of fully with our existing enterprise security software, so that you don't have to jump between those apps to manage your organization security as an analyst. So you can do everything from this one app. So that's what we're working towards.
Wow, that sounds great. Well, Daniel, thank you very much for joining me today. That's all the questions that I have for you and Splunk. Yeah, thank you again for doing this for me. Thank you again for like sparing a little bit of your time for this. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. All right, thank you. See ya.